It's been about 4 years since I featured a Nodus here on my channel. It was 4 years ago, around the time when I started this channel, I bought a Nodus Retrospect 2, their vintage inspired dive watch with a salmon dial. It was really nicely sized. In fact, I liked it so much, I thought it was one of the best dive watches that you could get under $500. I ended up selling that watch for all the wrong reasons, basically to fund another watch, and that watch is a watch that I ended up selling anyway. Now fast forward to today, and I have another Nodus to show you guys finally here on the channel. It's their latest GMT, the Contrail 2. It's the Laguna colorway that I have to show you guys, and I get a lot of Grand Seiko vibes from these watches. Nodus are an LA based brand. They make very high quality watches with lots of little details. So let's flip the camera and take a look at all the details on this Contrail 2 from Nodus. So here it is. This is the Contrail 2 GMT from Nodus. This is a feature-packed GMT that gets a lot of specs and also little features that make it kind of special. I'm going to start with the bezel. The bezel on this one has probably the least pronounced color difference between the top and the bottom from the other models that are in this lineup. This one is in black at the top and gray at the bottom. The other ones are a little bit more distinct. This one almost looks like it's the same color unless you actually get up close with the watch, which is not a bad thing. So I think it looks pretty good. This is a sapphire bezel, which I absolutely love, and it is lumed. You have a 24-hour track. All of that track is lumed. Then you have a chapter ring. That chapter ring is in black and silver. That black portion has a track on there, and that is a 24-hour track as well. You have large applied indices. Those are very liberally applied with lume. The hands also very liberally applied with lume. Every single hand has lume in it. We will do a lume shot towards the end of this video. This is the Laguna colorway. So this gets a sand, almost golden sand textured dial. Looks really good up close. I'll do plenty of close-ups so you can see what I'm saying. It says Nodus right below the 12 o'clock, right above the 6 o'clock position, which is a roulette date window. So you can see that 8 is in red. Looks very cool. Again, I like that. It is Contrail and GMT right above that. That's all it says. That GMT hand is in red, and it reaches the outermost portion of the dial, that track, that 24-hour track that is part of the chapter ring. The applied indices and the hands are in a darkened color, almost an anthracite color, and that goes for the second hand as well, which has a counterbalance. That counterbalance is lumed. One more quick detail about the bezel. It is bi-directional. So you can see you have a 48 click bezel here, and it is bi-directional. The clicks feel really nice, although not very loud. It is a 48 click bezel, so that is kind of expected. You get a sapphire crystal. It is a boxed domed sapphire crystal that sits slightly above the sapphire dial, adding to the thickness of this watch. However, with that being said, it is not a thick watch, coming in at just over 11 millimeters thick. That's including the screwed case back and that sapphire crystal. This is a 40 millimeter watch. I measured it in at around 40.4 millimeters on my calipers. Lug to lug on this watch is around 46.5 millimeters. That's at the case. So if you were wearing this on a strap, on the bracelet, because you do have male end links, it's around 51.5 millimeters. You do get drilled lugs and quick release on the bracelet. The bracelet, of course, has solid links, screwed links, and the quick release on the solid end links. The crown on this watch gets some crown guards. It's around 5.6 millimeters in diameter, and also it is very, very grippy because of the knurling that they put on the crown, so very easy to use and adjust the time. Speaking of adjusting of the time, this is a Miyota powered watch, an automatic GMT. This is a Traveler GMT, so that means it's getting the 9075 inside. Not the first watch to use it. However, in the package that they're presenting it in, I think they're doing a really good job. This looks the part. It looks like a few other watches out there. In my opinion, I think it looks almost very similar to the Grand Seiko Sport GMTs that they offer with the sapphire bezels. I think that's not a bad thing. It does look different. However, there are some similarities. Specifically, this one looks a lot different from those models. It's the other models in this lineup. The white dial version of this watch reminds me a lot of the white dial version from Grand Seiko. Considering you're getting a lot of the functionality, a lot of the looks, and 200 meters of water resistance in this watch, this is actually a very, very good deal. We'll talk about price in just a second after we talk about the bracelet. So one thing you're not going to get on the Grand Seiko is a bracelet like this. You're getting a flat link bracelet. This is not polished. You have a chamfered edge that goes along the side, but you do get screwed links and on-the-fly micro adjust. You get this beautiful buckle on here. It is signed Nodus right there. It's polished, it's brushed. It looks fantastic. This is a really nice sort of highlight of this watch. That's what I would call it. And then you have Nodex. That's what they call it. That's their proprietary on-the-fly micro adjust. There's a button on the back of the clasp. Very easy to adjust and pull in and pull out. On the fly micro adjust, and you get almost a full link, actually a little bit more than that, of space to actually adjust, in heat. If you want to wear this over a dive suit or something like that, you have all of that adjustment built into the clasp. The bracelet also does taper very, very nicely. You have a 20mm bracelet that tapers all the way down to 16mm, and then it bumps up at the clasp to around 18mm, somewhere in that neighborhood. It looks really good and fits really nicely, a very comfortable bracelet. And you can see on the side profile, really nice thick lines of polish on the top and the bottom of the case on both sides, and then you have brushing on the sides of the case. Really nicely finished watch. They do a really good job with the finishing overall on the bracelet. That line of polish carries through, that chamfered edge or polish edge, whatever you want to call it. Everything here looks very nicely finished. Case back on the watch is also pretty nice. You have that jet with the contrail on there. And then of course you have information about the watch, 200 meters of water resistance. So this is technically a watch that can go diving. You could wear this all day long. If it had a dive bezel on it, this would be a diver's GMT. However, this is really a true traveler's watch, something that you could wear and do anything with. Maybe not diving, although you could go diving with this watch. Quick wristwatch check. Today I have on the newest Vulcane, or one of the newest Vulcanes. They've been coming up with a number of these new skin divers. This is the gold PVD version on a brown leather strap. Really good looking watch. And I think this is an overall really great offering from Vulcane. They've been doing a really good job with these watches. And there it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. Like I was saying, this is just over 40mm at that bezel. At the case, it's a little bit smaller, but I would say it looks and wears like a 40mm GMT. You have a 47 or 46.5mm lug to lug, a little bit bigger on the bracelet because of the female end links that act like male end links, so they don't fold all the way down, so you get a larger lug to lug because of that. However, this does not bother me on my 7.5-inch wrist, and if you have smaller wrists than me, I would imagine this would still wear comfortable. This does get a regulated Miyota movement. I do want to mention that. I did not mention it before. This gets regulated to plus or minus 8 seconds per day. That is done in-house by Nodus here in the United States. There it is on my 7.5-inch wrist. You can see that flat link bracelet. One of my favorite styles of bracelet. I have no idea why. I have no real good reason for that. I just like the way it looks. This looks like a really classic GMT with lots of specs, lots of details. And considering the price on this is $825. I think that is an excellent price for all the specs and details that you are getting here. On the fly micro adjust, sapphire crystal, sapphire bezel, texture dial, roulette date window, lots of lume, which you will see in just a few seconds, and 200 meters of water resistance. So one thing that Nodus are not cheap with is the lume. You can see there is a ton of lume on this dial. Every hand has lume on it, including that second hand, that little counterbalance. The GMT hand is lumed as well. And then you have that lumed bezel, that triangle at the 12 o'clock giving you orientation on the bezel. And then you have the beaver teeth at the 12 o'clock on the dial, again, giving you orientation. This is a very well-spec'd watch, really very well lumed as well. Overall, a very impressive watch. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Nodus makes some of the best micro brand divers out there. One of them that I own that I ended up selling, like I was telling you guys in the intro to this video. I do regret that, and now that I have this watch, probably not going to be leaving my collection. I think this is really cool, and I love the color of the dial, the overall style of this watch. Again, it gives me a lot of Grand Seiko vibes. I've said that a few times throughout the video. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's not an homage to any Grand Seiko, I would say, but in general, I think that's not a bad thing. thing at all. Grand Seiko make very, very good watches. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of the price point? What do you think of the specs? What do you think of Nodus in general? I want to hear from you guys. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, I'll put a link down to this watch and the other watches from Nodus in the description below. Definitely check them out. If you're not familiar with them, you will not be disappointed. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. I'll catch you guys in the next video.